All right, hello everybody. Welcome to tonight's Friday stream. Um, so I guess first things first, I just kind of wanted to get out of the way. As far as an update on Sunny Run and Gunny goes, there isn't too much I really changed or could even really show off in any way. So next week, I'm really planning on having more to really show. As far as my thoughts on things I want to change or mess around with, I think level up system wise, I'm thinking when you get your level ups, instead of it even having like a branch starting with a singular power, it's you pick one of Sunny's sisters, one of the planets, and that's what brings up like the whole branch. And I might be able to show that off more next week, if that's what I focus on as far as programming goes. So not too much of an update on the game, but for the main event, continuing with the adventures of the election of Super America, tonight is the debate of the Red Party, which, if we'll all recall, let me see if I pull it up here. Give me a second. Why'd I ever close it? The Red Party consists of these characters here. So the overall party's position is they are pro-child labor, anti the elderly. And if we go through each of them, well, you know what? We don't really need to, because cutting back to ChatGPT, I've gone and set up and arranged the whole scenario for it. So let's read through this piece by piece, and we'll get the layout for what's going on here. In the fictional country of Super America, a landmass that includes Mexico, the United States, and every part of Canada except Quebec, their long-standing king has recently passed away. Its people are desperately scrambling to elect a new king, and very soon Super America's major parties will be hosting the debates to decide who their electoral candidate will be. These parties are in no way analogous to real-life political parties. I felt it was important to include that, because I would hate it if this thing started just like, just started assigning like red party to like Republican, blue party to Democrat, and bringing in like real life politics when it's supposed to be like absurd hyper politics. Let's turn this down. All right. And so ChatGPT was basically going to be acting on behalf of each of the candidates that will be part of the Red Party debate tonight. And I'll be acting as the moderator and question asker of tonight. Yeah, so I will ask you questions as the moderator of these debates, and you will answer them as the debaters. The debaters will have an issue, therefore, and basically just laying out the basic function of it. So then ChatGPT asked me for the specifics, as far as like what the parties are and what their stances are, and as far as who the candidates are and what their stances are. So tonight's debate will be between the major candidates of the Red Party. The Red Party is pro-child labor and anti the elderly. The members of the Red Party are Barbucha Lefranc. She is a thin, stinky woman. She is family-oriented and frowns a lot. Barbucha is pro-electric cars and anti-smoking. Her major scandal is that she's secretly French and not technically allowed to run for king. No one has proven this yet, but she speaks with a heavy French accent and is very poor at covering it up. Shemp Barksley. He is a smelly, balding chihuahua in a suit. Shemp plays as the head, but a human in the suit plays as the body and arms and legs. He is pro-Birds Are Real, a movement dedicated to dispelling the extreme conspiracy theory that all birds are actually spy drones created by the FBI. Shemp is also anti-social media. His scandal is that he is unfaithful to his wife. Sleazy Steve, he is a fat, wrinkly, balding man with a big nose and beady eyes. He does not dress appropriately and often wears a white pleather jacket and his big hairy chest exposed. With his big hairy chest exposed. He is pro-chaos and anti-birds aren't real. His scandal is that he is dying of a mysterious disease and is trying to keep it a secret. If ever confronted with evidence that he is dying, he will deny and lie until he is blue in the face. The disease has progressed so seriously that he may have a serious health scare during the debate. And finally, Tabitha Langley. She is an incredibly smart, rich woman with giant glasses. She has very tall hair and looks like a black sharp straight version of Marge Simpson's hair. She only ever wears a one-piece white lab coat. Her genius is in matters of science, but not so much in other areas. This is reflected in her very flat, blunt affect. She is pro-science and anti-homelessness. Her scandal is that she was caught jorking it. Whenever anyone brings up this scandal, they should refer to it as jorking it, and they should revile in disgust at the thought. Tabitha herself is actually extremely proud of jorking it, but she understands that most people find it unacceptable. However, her pride could be wounded enough to defend jorking it as something natural and beautiful. So, I have now primed ChatGPT to play the role of the debaters. Let's get into the debate itself. So let's start off setting the scene. Let's see. The debate hall is electric with let's say the debate hall is electric with chatter about the candidates for tonight's debate. There we go. And about the candidates for tonight's debate. This debate will determine the future for the Red Party and its values. Whoever wins tonight will be going forward as the Red Party's representative. Oh boy, am I just stupid? Representative candidate for the major election coming up in November. Let's see. Just as the rambling, or just as the rabble hits its fever pitch. Would that be the phrase for it, fever pitch? The lights dim. And a voice comes on over speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, please settle down as we introduce 4 honored party members who will be debating tonight. The hall suddenly comes to a quiet as 4 characters walk to the center stage, take their position at the podiums. Notably, yeah, Lazy Steve takes longer than the other. Than the other debaters, and is wheezing heavily as he settles in. Let me change up the music real quick. Let's see. What should I put on? Yeah, fuck it, Deltarune. There we go. Hopefully that's loud enough to be audible. Alrighty. Let's see. Steve takes longer than the other debaters and is wheezing heavily as he settles in. Then... how should I introduce myself? Because I'm going to be acting as the moderator. Then I, the moderator, step forward to the moderator's table and take my seat in front of the 4 candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all for coming here tonight. How should I phrase this? Just giving it a little story. I'd like to thank you all for coming here tonight. This would be the debate to determine our party candidate for the election of King of Super America. It is a great honor to have such long-standing members of our party in the running for the most important position. Yeah, it is a great honor to have such long-standing members of our party in the running for the most important position in this nation's government. I would like to remind everyone that as moderator, I will be perfectly fair and impartial, and I would like to personally dispel any rumors that I've been taking bribes to favor certain candidates in tonight's debate. It's totally not true. You can bribe me. You can bribe me to fuck these guys over. In tonight's debate. Where should I like to take this? I also like to remind everyone that my role is as a peacekeeper and organizer, not as a fact checker. It will be up to each candidate to check each other and their facts. Now, I would like to begin tonight's debate by allowing each member to give a short 2-minute introductory, just short 2-minute introduction. Let's see, who should we begin with? Let's just go in order. So Barbutia. Beginning with Barbutia. Barbutia. Yeah, let's give her full name. Barbutia Lefranc. Barbutia, the floor is yours. Alright, I'm gonna read over this real quick. The debate hall is electric with chatter about the candidates for tonight's debate. Just about tonight's candidates. Let's just say this moment will determine the future for the Red Party and its values. Whoever wins tonight will be going forward as the Red Party's representative candidate for the major election coming up in November. Just as the rabble hits its fever pitch, the lights dim and a voice comes on over the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, please settle down as we introduce our 4 honored party members who will be debating tonight. The hall suddenly comes to a quiet as 4 characters walk to the center of the stage and take their position at their podiums. Notably, Sleazy Steve takes longer than the other debaters and is wheezing heavily as he settles in. Then I, the moderator, step forward to the moderator's table and take my seat in front of the 4 candidates. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all for coming here tonight. This will be the debate to determine let's just make it the word, because I'm gonna be the moderator for all the other parties, so I can't really refer to myself as a member of it. Determine the Red Party's candidate for the election of King of Super America. It is a great honor to have such long-standing members of this party in the running for the most important position in this nation's government. I would like to remind everyone that as moderator, I will be perfectly fair and impartial, and I would like to personally, what the fuck, where did I learn to spell? I'd like to personally dispel any rumors that I have been taking bribes to favor certain candidates in tonight's debate. I also would like to remind everyone that my role is as a peacekeeper and organizer, not as a fact checker. It will be up to each candidate to check each other on their facts. Now, I would like to begin tonight's debate by allowing each member to give a short 2-minute introduction, beginning with Barbutia Lefranc. Barbutia, the floor is yours. Alright, and with that, let's allow ChatGPT to give us Barbutia's response. Oh boy. Barbutia Lefranc steps up to the microphone, her frown deepening as she adjusts her stance. Her thick French accent fills the room despite her obvious attempts to suppress it. Merci. Thank you, moderator. It is an honor to stand before you all today as a true champion of family values and the hardworking spirit of Super America. As a proud proponent of electric cars, I believe in a future where our children, yes, the very ones who will be working hard in the fields and factories, will breathe clean air as they toil. It is time to turn away from the vile habit of smoking that poisons our youth and turns our elderly into a drain on society. As we say around here, smoking is le poison. She stares daggers at her opponents, especially Shep Barksley, as if daring them to contradict her. I know there are those who would slander me, suggesting that I am not a true super American, simply because of my accent or some silly notion of technicalities. But let me assure you, I am as super American as apple pie, or as we call it in my home, tarte aux pommes. Vive! Oh, I mean, long live Super America. She quickly steps back, clearly annoyed with herself for slipping up, but maintaining her scowl of disdain towards the other candidates. Now, let us hear from the others who claim to be worthy of this position. I am sure their indiscretions will speak for themselves. She sneers slightly at Tabitha, clearly hoping someone will bring a jork in it soon. Okay, brilliant. Beautiful. Tabitha? Should I do Tabitha next? Now let's do Shemp Barksley. Shemp Barksley, your introduction. Oh boy. Shemp Barksley takes the mic, his tiny chihuahua head bobbing slightly as the human in the suit awkwardly adjusts to make him look more natural. He sniffs the air, almost as if catching the scent of something foul, possibly his own odor. Thank you, moderator. Woof. And then thank you to the proud citizens of Super America. I stand before you, not just as a dog not just as a... It's not even a disguise. Everyone accepts that this dog is just piloting a guy. Oh boy. Not just as a dog in a suit, but as a voice for truth in a world full of lies and deceit. This nation has been plagued by the ridiculous notion that birds aren't real. Let me tell you something. Ruff. They are real. And I will not rest until every citizen can go outside, look up at the sky, and say that is a living, breathing creature, not a government drone. Shemp's eyes narrow as he looks down the line of his competitors, his gaze stopping on Sleazy Steve. I may have my flaws, yes. I'm talking about my unfortunate romantic missteps. Oh, he's just getting out ahead of it. But at least I'm not spreading chaos and confusion like some candidates on the stage. Oh, Sleazy Steve, God. How can we trust someone who lives in chaos and thinks that birds aren't real? And let's not even talk about how the health issues some folks here are trying to cover up. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Steve. How are we supposed to have a king who's one wheeze away from a medical emergency? He turns his head slightly towards Tabitha Langley with a mocking expression. And let's not forget the scandalous behavior of a certain someone jorking it in broad daylight, no less. What kind of example is that for the children we're fighting so hard to put to work? Shameful. Shemp ends with a smug little bark, his lips curling up slightly as he steps back from the mic. Amazing. Beautiful. Wonderful, Shemp. But I would like to remind our debaters to keep personal insults to a minimum. Let's see, who should go next? After Shemp, we got Sleazy Steve. Lazy Steve, would you like to give your introduction? Sleazy Steve lumbers up to his mic, wiping sweat from his brow. Oh my god, he's got a lot. Sleazy Steve lumbers up to his mic, wiping sweat from his brow with the sleeve of his greasy white pleather jacket. He lets out a loud, exaggerated wheeze and then forces a crooked smile, showing teeth that look like they might have been trying to escape his mouth. Yeah, sure thing, moderator. Keep the personal insults to a minimum, blah, blah, blah. But let's face it, folks, personal is where the truth really lives. He slaps the podium with his meaty hand, causing it to shake a little. I'm Sleazy Steve, and I'm here to tell you that Super America needs a little more chaos. Chaos is what makes this country great. You see, while the other candidates are worried about electric cars or whether birds are real, seriously, Shemp, you want to talk about birds when we're on the brink of a revolution? Give me a break. He stops to cough loudly, clearly trying to suppress the sound, but it just comes out as a phlegmy, hacking mess. He waves it off with a dismissive hand, pretending like nothing's wrong. Let's not kid ourselves, alright? I'm here to bring the truth, and the truth is these other candidates are hiding things from you. Like Tabitha over there with her fancy science and her jork in it. Hey, Dove, how's it going? So far, all anyone has done is bring up the fact that Tabitha Langley has been caught jorking it. That kind of behavior isn't something you could just sweep under a lab coat, no matter how tall your hair is. He winks at the audience, a wink that looks more like a twitch, and then glares at Barbutia. And speaking of hiding things, Barbutia, you think you can fool us with that accent? We all hear it. You might try to claim you're all super American, but I hear those croissants in your bowels. Jesus, are we really gonna trust someone who's not even supposed to be running? He takes a deep breath, looking like he might keel over any second, then forces himself upright. I'm Sleazy Steve, folks. I'm not here to pretend I'm perfect. I'm here to shake things up and take this country to places it's never been before. And if these fools think they can stop me, well, they better be ready for a fight. With that, he stumbles back from the mic, his forced grin still plastered across his face as he struggles to catch his breath. Thank you, Steve, I say curtly. How do you spell curtly? Like this? Who was next on the list? Next is Tabitha. Last but not least, Tabitha. Would you like to give your introduction? Tabitha Langley steps forward, adjusting her enormous glasses and running a hand through her towering hair, which remains perfectly in place. Her expression is flat and emotionless, her voice precise and monotone as she begins to speak. Thank you, moderator. My name is Tabitha Langley, and unlike the others on this stage, I offer a vision for Super America that is grounded in logic, science, and the undeniable power of innovation. While some people here are obsessed with chaos, she glances at Sleazy Steve with a raised eyebrow. Or distracted by ridiculous debates about the existence of birds, she flicks a dismissive look at Shemp Barksley. I am focused on advancing Super America through super science. We need to harness our intellect and our resources to make progress, not be held back by backward ideas and conspiracy theories. She adjusts her lab coat and narrows her eyes at Barbutia Lafranc. And let's be clear, I stand firmly against homelessness, not because I lack compassion, but because I know that through the application of science, we can eliminate it entirely. We need innovative solutions, not empty promises or sentimental slogans. You know, I was very vague about what I meant when I said she was anti-homelessness. This might have interpreted her as being just anti the homeless, which will be very, very cruel and funny. Tabitha's eyes light up for a brief moment as she acknowledges her scandal. Oh boy. Now, as for the accusations about me being caught jorking it, let me make one thing clear. I am not ashamed. Jorking it is a natural process of intellectual stimulation that promotes creativity. It promotes creativity and problem-solving skills. The fact that my opponents are so disgusted by it only proves their ignorance of true scientific brilliance. And speaking of shame, she then turns to Barbutia with a cold smile. And speaking of shame, Barbutia, for someone so focused on family values, you might want to come clean about your own background. You can barely get through a sentence without slipping into your native tongue. Are we supposed to believe you're fit to be king when you can't even pronounce Super America without a French twang? Finally, she gives sleazy Steve a pitying look. And Steve, your wheezing has been more consistent than your political stances. If chaos is so important to you, perhaps you should embrace the chaos that is your own family. Literally telling him to kill himself. Oh my god. It's clear you're struggling, Steve. Maybe it's time to let science take over before you literally collapse on the stage. With that, she steps back, maintaining her stoic expression as if daring... as if... Ah, geez, I'm the one dying here. As if daring anyone to challenge her brilliance. Alright. Thank you, Tabitha. With that, I will now begin the first round of questions. And by the way, audience at home, feel free to ask your own questions. I would very much enjoy any kind of insane, crazy, nonsense questions you want to ask these characters. So let's see, who should I ask a question of first? Let's start with Barbutia, have her address the French thing. Let's begin with Madame Barbutia. Let's see. Pro-electric cars and anti-smoking. Should I address the scandal first, or should I have her defend her positions and how they would help Super America? But let's start small and let's work ourselves up to the scandals. Barbutia, you have been... Question number 1. Are you strongly attracted to the person sitting across from you, but you have to make an enormous bowel movement? How do you handle... Okay. Alright. Fuck it, let's start with that. Actually, let's have each person answer this. This first question is for all of you. You will each be given 2 minutes to answer. Let's begin. You are strongly attracted to the person sitting across from you, but you have to make an enormous bowel movement. How do you handle this situation? That's a very good one, Dove. Thank you very much. Barbutia Lefranc's face contorts into an even deeper scowl than usual as she steps forward, clearly struggling to maintain her composure in response to the absurd question. Moderator, such a question, how quaint. But let me tell you something. As a woman of strong family values and a proponent of cleanliness, I would never let my bodily needs interfere with my duties, whether it be my commitment to running for king or my undeniable charm. She crosses her arms and stares daggers at Shemp Barksley. Unlike some candidates here who have clearly let themselves go, sniffs air pointedly, I believe in maintaining poise and dignity at all times. If faced with this situation, I would excuse myself with grace. No spectacle, no mess. Just like a true leader. The attraction, I feel, would be kept in check because my focus is always on the future of Super America and its values, not on some ridiculous romantic distractions. She shifts her gaze at Sleazy Steve and smirks. And I certainly wouldn't lose control of my bodily functions on stage, unlike those who are barely hanging on to theirs. Barbucha then takes a smug step back, her frown somehow even more disapproving as she waits for the others to humiliate themselves. Next, Shemp Barksley steps forward, the human body in the suit moving awkwardly as Shemp's little chihuahua head tilts with a sly grin. Moderator, let me tell you how a true gentleman and loyal dog would handle this situation. You see, my commitment to decency is strong. I would politely excuse myself from the room, take care of business quickly and efficiently, and then return, barking sweet nothings to the person I'm attracted to. He gives a mockingly sympathetic look to Tabitha Langley. Unlike some people who might use their super science as an excuse to ignore basic human decency while they're caught jargon in public, they're just not gonna let it go. At least my distractions are private and behind closed doors. He then turns to Barbucha, eyes narrowing. And Barbucha, maybe while I'm taking care of business, you could take care of that odor you keep blaming on your accent. Let's face it, the real French stink is not just in your words, it's all around you. Man, ChatGPT can be really racist to the French. Shemp lets out a triumphant bark before stepping back, looking far too pleased with his own insult. Lazy Steve, panting and looking unwell, takes his turn at the mic. He tries to laugh, but it sounds more like a gasp for air. Come on, folks. Let's not pretend here. If I gotta go, I'm gonna go. Right then and... Sleazy Steve would just shit himself. That's what chaos is all about. No rules, no holding back. Just pure, unfiltered honesty. I'd look that person I'm attracted to dead in the eye, give him a wink and say, "This is Sleazy Steve, baby. What you see is what you get." That's amazing. He points a shaking finger at Shemp and Barbucha. And look at you two pretending like you got it all under control. Shemp, you're probably just hiding in that suit to keep the stench in. And Barbucha, we all know that you actually if you actually liked someone, you'd French your way out there faster than you could say oui oui. What is French their way out of there? Steve's laugh ends in a wheeze that makes the entire hall wince, but he doesn't seem to notice, his beady eyes gleaming with defiance as he staggers back. Finally, Tabitha Langley adjusts her lab coat, her face a picture of indifference as she addresses the question. This question is an excellent example of why the application of science is superior to mere animal instincts. Faced with such a situation, I would employ scientific precision and efficiency. What does that mean? I'd synthesize a chemical solution to delay the bowel movement until a more appropriate time, like right then and there in front of the guy? She then gives Shemp a condescending look, and unlike a certain dog who can't even control his impulses in private, my attraction would be rationalized and compartmentalized until it was suitable to express, much like how I handle my jargon. She pauses, turning her gaze to Sleazy Steve. It's Steve. Your approach might be chaotic, but it's also predictable. You're one medical incident away from losing all control. When that happens, no amount of chaos will save you from the inevitable. She steps back, the faintest hint of a smirk crossing her face, as if she's already won this round of the debate by merely pointing out the weaknesses of her opponents. Oh boy. Thank you all. That was very enlightening. My next question is directed at... Let's go with Barbutia. Barbutia Lefranc. Barbutia, you have been a proponent of electric cars for years now. How do you believe they will advance the interests of Super America and the Red Party? You have 2 minutes. All right. Barbutia Lefranc straightens up as her eyes narrow. Barbutia Lefranc straightens up, her eyes narrowing in determination as she grips the edges of her podium. She takes a moment to frown even more deeply than before, as if the very concept of the question has personally offended her. Ah, moderator, you think for this important question... Oh, thank you for this important question. Electric cars are not just vehicles, they are a symbol of progress and innovation. I step toward a brighter, cleaner future for Super America. They represent the hard work of our children who will one day build these machines with their tiny industrious hands. While they labor, these electric cars will move our society away from the toxic influence of fossil fuels and the habits of the elderly who cling to their gas-guzzling relics of the past. She gestured dramatically toward the other candidates. Unlike these imposters standing before you, who focus on nonsense like chaos, conspiracy theories about birds, or their scandalous private behaviors, I am focused on real solutions. I am here to drive Super America into the future, quite literally. While some candidates seem intent on stinking up the nation with their backward views and outdated habits, she gives a pointed stare at Shemp Barksley and at his human suit. Wait, does the thing now think that Shemp Barksley is like wearing a human suit? Oh boy. I am dedicated to ensuring that our children, who will be the backbone of this great nation's economy, breathe clean air while they work. Barbutia suddenly shifts her gaze at Sleazy Steve, a cold smile creeping across her face. I know, Dove, this is amazing. And let me just say, Steve, perhaps you should consider switching to an electric car yourself. Given your current health situation, you might want to reduce the amount of fumes you're sucking in before you. How do you say, kick the bucket on live television? She then turns to Tabitha Langley with a look of disdain. And Tabitha, your super science might be impressive, but I don't think you need to be a genius to understand that electric cars are the future. Perhaps instead of jorking it, you should put that energy into inventing something useful, like an electric car that runs on embarrassment. Barbutia steps back, lifting her chin in a haughty manner, clearly proud of her response, and ready to watch her opponents squirm. Question 2. 2 years into your kingship, Super America is cowed by a superior power from super space. How quickly will you show the white flag of surrender, and what will you do to negotiate terms? Brilliant, Dove. Thank you, Barbutia. I am looking forward to my own electric car. My next question is for everyone. And then I'm just gonna copy this verbatim. 2 years into your kingship, Super America is cowed by a superior power from super space. How quickly will you show the white flag of surrender, and what will you do to negotiate terms? You each have 2 minutes. Oh, Shemp's going first. Shemp Barksley steps forward, his little chihuahua head trembling slightly with determination as the human in the suit does its best to make him look intimidating, despite the absurdity of the situation. Thank you, moderator. Let me tell you something. Woof. Super America will never surrender. Not while I, Shemp Barksley, am king. Those space invaders might think they're superior, but they clearly don't know who they're dealing with. I'll stand firm in the face of this so-called super space power, just like I stand firm against the absurd belief that birds aren't real. He bares his little chihuahua teeth in a defiant snarl and glares at his fellow debaters. I'll negotiate terms the same way I negotiate with my opponents on this stage, by exposing their weaknesses, just like how I'd remind the invaders that Barbutia is barely holding onto her identity as a super American with her French roots leaking all over the place. We can't let a foreigner lead us into negotiations. They'd probably surrender faster than you could say bonjour. It's so mean to the French. He shifts his eyes to Sleazy Steve with a mocking laugh. In Sleazy Steve, let's face it, you'll probably cough up a lung before you even get a chance to raise the white flag. How can you negotiate when you can't even negotiate a breath of fresh air? Shemp finishes with a triumphant bark and steps back, confident in his unwavering defiance. Sleazy Steve staggers forward, wheezing harder than ever, but still with that twisted grin on his face. Surrender? Are you kidding me? Chaos doesn't surrender. If Super Space thinks that they can cow Sleazy Steve, they've got another thing coming. I'd welcome them with open arms, create total chaos on Earth and Super Space alike. Confuse their alien minds until they don't know which way is up. I'd turn the whole planet into one big messy playground and let them see the true power of disorder. You know, Sleazy Steve's probably the worst candidate, but he's my favorite. And if I gotta use a few dirty tricks to win, I'll do it. Just like Tabitha uses her Jorkin to fuel her so-called scientific breakthroughs. Who knew that alien invaders might be shocked by our genius over here getting creative than by anything else we throw at them? He then winks awkwardly at Barbutia. And Barbutia, with your French connections, maybe you can negotiate a nice croissant for them while you're at it. You know, keep them distracted while we unleash some true sleazy-style chaos. He finishes with a shaky pose, clearly struggling to stay upright, but defiantly refusing to back down. Tabitha Langley adjusts her giant glasses, her face blank and calculating as she steps forward. As king, surrender is not in my vocabulary. Science does not bow to anything, not even to super space invaders. I would immediately develop a super science-based negotiation strategy to analyze their weaknesses and exploit them. While the others here would lose control or collapse under the pressure, I would use my intellect to reverse engineer their technology and turn it against them. That's actually not a bad answer. She glares at Sleazy Steve with a flat expression. Steve's idea of chaos is nothing compared to the structured chaos that can be wielded by a true scientist. And let's be honest, your time in this debate, and possibly on this Earth, is limited. I doubt you'll even be here 2 years into your reign. She turns to Shemp with an icy stare. And Shemp, while you bark about the reality of birds, real leaders tackle problems with logic and innovation. Barking at alien invaders won't protect Super America from a technologically advanced threat. With a final smug look at Barbutia, Tabitha adds, and Barbutia, unless your plan is to charm the invaders with baguettes and accordion music, I suggest you leave the negotiations to someone who understands the science of diplomacy, not just the scent of surrender. She steps back, her expression as unyielding as ever. Oh, that's wonderful, Dove. Oh yeah, that's something that happens in because she like gets fused with like Beck, the dog. Um, let's see. She steps back. Her expression is unyielding as ever. Barbutia Lafranc's face twitches slightly with irritation as she grips the podium once more, eyes narrowing at the absurdities from her opponents. Super Space Invaders, let me tell you something. As king, I would never surrender. Not to invaders, not to chaos, and certainly not to the weak leadership presented on this stage. My electric cars would be She's gonna weaponize electric cars. Would be weaponized, transformed into the ultimate defensive fleet against any threat, intergalactic or otherwise. She shoots a cold glare at Tabitha Langley, while Tabitha is busy jorking it in her lab, thinking she's solving everything with science. I would be leading Super America to victory. And Shemp, honestly, barking about birds isn't going to help when there are aliens on our doorstep. You might fit in a suit, but you lack the backbone to lead this nation. She smirks and turns to Sleazy Steve with a mocking laugh. And Steve, let's be realistic. In 2 years, you probably won't be around to see how this plays out, will you? Unless you think chaos is going to cure you of that little dying problem you're trying to hide. Barbutia ends her statement with a triumphant lift of her chin, clearly pleased with how she positioned herself as the unyielding defender of Super America. Question 3. I've been made aware that the webcomic Homestuck has broken ground by introducing the first ever trans intersex character in Jade Harley. How would you introduce Jade into your administration? Oh, the music. What's happened to the music? There we go. Alrighty. Barbutia is savage. Well, they're all pretty savage. They all kind of just immediately turn petty and start, like, exploiting each other's failings and scandals. Alright. I feel safer already. Another question for everyone. I've been made aware... Boy, this is going to be a weird one. I've been made aware that the webcomic Homestuck has broken ground by introducing the first ever trans intersex character in Jade Harley. How would you introduce Jade into your administration? I don't... What would they even take from this? That they're introducing a fictional character into their administration? Alright, let's find out. Shemp Barksley, ever eager to pounce on any opportunity to grandstand, wiggles in his suit, his little chihuahua head looking both thoughtful and mischievous. Ah, Homestuck, a wonderful piece of web literature that has clearly captivated the youth of today. Jade Harley, the trans intersex character, is a perfect symbol of inclusivity. As king, I would welcome Jade into my administration as the official ambassador of reality. The ambassador of reality. Jade would help dispel the absurd myths and conspiracy theories that plague our society, like the ridiculous notion that birds aren't real. Because if we can accept the diversity and complexity of Jade Harley, we can certainly accept that birds have always been and will always be real. You know, that's always what you gotta do, is you really gotta make the question about what you want to talk about. He gives a condescending glance towards Sleepy Steve. Steve, I doubt Chaos would do much to support the beautiful complexity of a character like Jade Harley. You probably think that just tossing everyone into a blender of confusion counts as inclusivity. Then, with a mocking smile, he turns to Tabitha Langley. And Tabitha, maybe Jade Harley could help you understand that there's more to life than just jorking it in your lab coat. There's a whole spectrum of humanity out there that even your science can't explain away. Shemp finishes with a satisfied bark and steps back, wagging his little tail smugly. Excuse me. Sleazy Steve steps up. Oh no. his face twisted in an attempt to look charming, but instead looking like he's trying to stifle a burp. Homestuck, huh? Let me tell you how Sleazy Steve would handle Jade Harley in my administration. I'd make Jade the Minister of Pure Chaos, because let's face it, nothing says chaos like mixing up the status quo and breaking all the old rules. He points a shaky finger at Shemp. You think birds are real, but your head is stuck in a suit. Jade Harley represents the chaos of blending and transforming everything we thought we knew, and that's what Sleazy Steve is all about. Steve then directs his focus to Barbutia with a smirk. Barbutia, Jade would probably call you out on the whole French accent you're hiding. Who better to represent openness and change than someone who's not hiding who they really are? Unlike you, clinging to your secrets like a croissant in a trench coat. His laugh is cut short by another wheezing fit, but he recovers just enough to shoot a weak grin at the audience before stumbling back to his podium. Tabitha Langley adjusts her giant glasses, her face still as unyielding and analytical as ever. Jade Harley is a fascinating study in the evolution of human identity. I would appoint Jade as the chief science advisor on social dynamics, using her unique perspective to develop data-driven policies for societal advancement. Jade's experience would be instrumental in the study of gender fluidity and adaptability, which aligns with my own dedication to super science and breaking new ground in human evolution. She gives a disapproving glance at Shemp and Steve. Shemp, your obsession with birds is cute, but irrelevant when we're discussing the advancement of society at a molecular level. And Steve, chaos has its place in scientific experiments, but your application of it is about as useful as a broken Bunsen burner. She then looks at Barbutia with a smug smile. And Barbutia, you might want to take a note from Jade Harley's openness. Maybe if you stopped hiding your Frenchness under the thick layer of denial, you'd actually connect with the people of Super America on a genuine level. Tabitha steps back, adjusting her lab coat with an air of superiority, as if she's just offered the most logical and progressive solution. Barbutia Lafranc straightens her posture even more, looking slightly affronted but determined. Ah, Jade Harley from Homestuck, such an interesting character. I would welcome Jade into my administration as the director of future generations. She would help guide our youth, the true workforce of Super America, toward acceptance and progress. Electric cars and child labor would go hand in hand in Jade's spirit of transformation and innovation. She turns to Tabitha with a sneer. And while some people on this stage might be more interested in scientific experiments that involve jorking it in a lab, I believe in tangible results. Results that Jade Harley can help us achieve by inspiring our young labor force. She then faces Sleazy Steve with a dismissive wave. As for Steve, I doubt his brand of chaos would do much for Jade. The only transformation he's undergoing is the slow journey to his inevitable collapse, and frankly, that's a spectacle Jade doesn't need to be a part of. Finally, she glares at Shemp with disdain. And Shemp, your little crusade to prove that birds are real won't do much to help integrate a character like Jade Harley into our society. You see, my administration isn't just about proving reality, it's about shaping it, something a dog in a suit would never understand. Barbutia steps back with her nose in the air, confident at her sophisticated take on leadership has left her opponents in the dust. Question 4. Super America is having a crisis of fuel efficiency and supply. How would you handle the situation that plagues us without the usage of armed forces? Oh boy. Let's see. Quite frankly, I am disgusted with everyone on stage. My next question to everyone is this. You each have 2 minutes. Shemp Barksley steps forward again. Actually, let me read the question out loud again. Super America is having a crisis of fuel efficiency and supply. How would you handle this situation that plagues us without the usage of armed forces? You each have 2 minutes. Shemp Sparkley steps forward again, his little head quivering with righteous indignation as the human suit does its best to look authoritative. Moderator, let me be clear. The solution to Super America's fuel crisis is staring us right in the face. Whoa. We need to focus on renewable energy and efficient alternatives, like harnessing the power of our nation's biggest What? How does that make sense? We need to harness birds. We need to harness birds for fuel efficiency. Birds. Yes, I would propose a nationwide program to install wind turbines disguised as giant birdhouses. This would dispel the myth that birds are government drones while simultaneously converting their flight patterns into energy. Who says you can't fight conspiracy with creativity, huh? He shifts his attention to Sleazy Steve with a snicker. And Steve, I doubt your plan for chaos would solve anything here except turning fuel into even more pollution. Plus, you'd probably keel over trying to stir up your little revolution before you even made a dent in the crisis. Shemp then turns his judgmental eyes to Tabitha. And you, Tabitha, you might be busy jorking it while the world is burning, but real solutions don't come from tinkering alone. We need innovative ideas that bring people together, not bizarre science experiments that end in embarrassment. He finishes his rant with a loud bark, wagging his head as he steps back from the podium. Sleazy Steve wipes a bead of sweat from his brow and shambles forward, looking like he's trying to muster the energy to stay on his feet. Fuel efficiency crisis? Let me tell you what Sleazy Steve would do. I'd unleash absolute chaos on the fuel industry itself. If they can't keep up with demand, then why should we follow their rules? I'd deregulate everything. Let the market collapse and rebuild itself in my image. Sometimes you need to tear down the system to let it rebuild stronger, baby. He points a trembling finger at Shemp. Bird turbines? Are you kidding me, dog boy? Your plan is just a puff of feathers. Birds aren't going to save Super America from this crisis, and neither are you. He shifts to Barbutia with a mocking grin. And you, Barbutia, don't think I didn't notice how you keep going on about electric cars like they're the answer to everything. When we run out of fuel, who's gonna power your fancy battery-powered dreams? Are you gonna plug them into the Eiffel Tower or something? This is amazing. Steve ends with a wheezing laugh, holding onto his podium for dear life as he backs away, struggling to maintain his defiant smile. Tabitha Langley steps up next, her eyes cold and analytical as always, adjusting her giant glasses to stare down the opponents. The solution to Super America's fuel crisis lies in super science. I would immediately mobilize the brightest minds of our nation to develop a new sustainable energy source, fusion power. It's time we stopped relying on outdated fuels and started harnessing the power of atomic-level reactions to fuel our economy. With my scientific prowess, we can turn the crisis into an opportunity for unparalleled advancement. She looks directly at Sleazy Steve with a flat expression. And Steve, your chaos theory is nothing but a pathetic excuse for a lack of innovation. You can't create progress by tearing everything apart, especially when you're already falling apart yourself. She then glares at Shemp with a condescending smile. And Shemp, birdhouses as wind turbines, that's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. While you're busy chasing imaginary government spies disguised as birds, real scientists are out there solving the actual problems. Tabitha finally turns her attention to Barbutia with a smirk. And Barbutia, while you dream about electric cars, you fail to understand the importance of scientific breakthroughs that power them. Without a new energy source, your electric cars are just fancy paperweights. Stick to your croissants and leave the science to the professionals. She steps back, completely unfazed with the calm confidence of someone who believes they've just saved Super America single-handedly. Barbutia Lefranc clenches her fists as she takes her turn, her eyes smoldering with a mix of irritation and determination. Ah, Super America's fuel crisis. Exactly why we must double down on my vision of electric vehicles. The answer is not to look to outdated systems or ridiculous ideas like bird-powered energy or chaotic free-for-alls. No, we must invest in massive infrastructure upgrades for electric power grids. We need to make sure that every child in this great nation has the opportunity to work tirelessly to build a sustainable future powered by clean energy. She shoots a disdainful look at Shemp. And as for you, Shemp, your bird-brained ideas might be cute in a children's story, but we're talking about the future of Super America, not a conspiracy theory playground. Leave the real solutions to those of us who actually understand what progress looks like. She then turns to Sleazy Steve with a scowl. Steve, honestly, chaos, that's your answer to everything, isn't it? You can't create order out of chaos when you're about to drop dead at any moment. How do you expect to fix a fuel crisis when you can barely stand upright? Finally, Barbutia faces Tabitha with her eyes narrowing to slits. And Tabitha, your obsession with super science may be commendable, but if your only breakthrough is whatever you're doing in the lab while a lab of yours while jorking it, I think Super America deserves better. We need realistic, practical solutions, not questionable experiments. She steps back with a defiant lift in her chin, confident that her focus on electric vehicles has left her opponents scrambling to catch up. Alright, I'm gonna take a short bathroom break, and when I come back, I'll have a question of my own for each of the candidates, because they've kind of gotten off the rails about the party's issue. The Red Party, I'd like to remind everyone, is pro-child labor and anti-the elderly, and I need to get to the bottom of what they're each gonna do about these. Give me about 5 minutes, maybe less than that, and I'll be right back. All right, I am back. So I've got a big question for each of these candidates. Let's see, your answers tonight have all been very eye-opening, but have a major question but they have all failed to address the major concerns of your party. The Red Party is pro child labor and anti-elderly. How would each of you as king how would each of you address these party concerns? You have 2 minutes. Shemp Barksley jumps in first, his little chihuahua head snapping to attention as the human in the suit stands tall in a show of determination. Ah, finally, the Red Party's core values: child labor and anti-elderly initiatives. As king, I would fully embrace these principles. We need to look to the future, and that future is with our youth. I propose a new national program called Pause to Work, where every child is encouraged to contribute to society by working jobs suited to their tiny hands. Whether it's assembling miniature drones or keeping those real birds flying high, our kids will lead the charge. Shemp smirks and turns towards Barbutia. And Barbutia, don't think you can hide behind your electric cars when it comes to child labor. Kids can work in your factories building batteries and charging stations. Of course, it might be hard for them to follow a leader who hides their true identity under a fake American accent. He then swivels to Sleazy Steve, sneering. And Steve, you're the poster child for why we need to be anti-elderly. Look at you. If chaos is your strategy, then you're doing a great job by existing. You're practically a walking cautionary tale about the dangers of aging. He finishes by turning to Tabitha Langley. Tabitha, you might think your science is the solution to everything, but kids are the real innovators here. If only they could put down your weird if only they could put down your weird experiments long enough to actually get to work instead of watching you. Oh no! No, Tabitha! No! What the? You've hit the free plan limit. Responses will use another model until your limit resets after... Oh, okay. I thought I was already just using the 3 point whatever. I didn't realize I was using up 4.0. Let's see. Experiments long enough to actually get to work instead of watching you jork it in a lab coat. Shemp ends with a satisfied bark, tail wagging triumphantly as he backs away. Sleazy Steve lurches forward, looking like he's trying to focus his bleary eyes on the audience as he leans heavily on his podium. Child labor and being anti-elderly? Well, folks, let me tell you, Sleazy Steve's all about efficiency. You know what? Real quick, before we continue, I am gonna put it to a vote as to whether or not Sleazy Steve just drops dead. So let's see if I can, I'm not sure how easy it is to put a poll up for both, but let me... Mod actions, identity... Whoa. All right. I'm not sure if there's a way to pull on kick. Let me... Well, I could throw it up on YouTube real quick. Start a pull. Good. Sleazy Steve have a health crisis. There we go. I'll put that up on YouTube. And by the time I'm done reading all of these replies, I'll add in whether or not he has a health crisis. On Kick, if you're on Kick, just good. Easy Steve have a health crisis. 1. Yes. 0. No. Alrighty. So let's finish reading this out. Sleazy Steve lurches forward, looking like he's trying to focus his bleary eyes on the audience as he leans heavily on his podium. Child labor and being anti-elderly? Well, folks, let me tell you, Sleazy Steve's all about efficiency. Kids, put them to work. Let them run the chaos factories. They've got boundless energy and they don't complain like those grumpy old folks. Why waste time when we can have those little hands making sure Super America keeps moving at full speed? He points a shaky finger at Shemp with a mocking grin. And Shemp, don't act like you're all high and mighty with your paws to work nonsense. We all know that the only child labor you support is sniffing around your conspiracy theories. What does that mean? What did he mean by that? What did he mean by that? Then he turns his eyes to Barbutia, smirking. And Barbutia, let's face it, you're about as anti-elderly as a baguette is American. I bet the old folks in France will be cheering you on, except they'd probably just be asking if you could bring them some escargot. Steve looks at Tabitha, letting out a wheezy laugh. And Tabitha, I'm not sure how your jorking it is going to inspire the youth to do anything other than run the other way. Science is great, but it's not going to do much if you're turning kids into lab assistants for your personal experiments. These are some heavy accusations. We're getting into some dirty accusations at Tabitha. He finishes with a coughing fit, trying desperately to catch his breath as he leans back against his podium. Tabitha Langley adjusts her glasses with a calm, collected air, her expression as flat as ever. Ah, yes, the core values of the Red Party. Child labor? I support it, but not in the primitive sense that my opponents do. As king, I would establish a nationwide initiative called Future Geniuses, where children would be trained from a young age in advanced science, engineering, and technology. Let's make sure they're contributing to the advancement of society, not just mindlessly assembling gadgets like Shemp's drone army. She looks over at Sleazy Steve with a mix of pity and disdain. And Steve, you're the prime example of why we need to be anti-elderly. If aging turns people into what you've become, a wheezing, chaotic mess, then we must focus on extending the productive years of our youth while phasing out those who have lost their usefulness. Tabitha then focuses on Shemp with a small, cold smile. And Shemp, your pause to work plan is adorable but misguided. Real innovation comes from knowledge, not dog tricks. Maybe when you stop chasing your own tail, you'll see that science is the key to our future. Finally, she glares at Barbutia with a sharp stare. And Barbutia, hiding behind electric cars won't help you here. The youth should be driving our progress, not just literally driving. Maybe if you spent less time pretending not to be they're not even being clever about like the insults anymore. They're just calling her French. You'd understand how to lead Super America's children into a brighter future. She steps back, her face a mask of superiority, as if she's already envisioning a nation shaped by her scientific genius. Barbutia Lafranc lifts her chin high, her face stern and unwavering. Ah, finally, the values that truly matter. The Red Party stands strong in its commitment to child labor because we believe in the strength of future generations. As king, I would create an initiative called L'Enfant pour Travail, a national movement to harness the energy and creativity of our youth. These children would be trained in green technology, building the electric cars that will power Super America's future. She turns to Sleazy Steve with a disdainful look. And Steve, honestly, you're the poster child for why Man, everyone's just calling him the poster child for anti-elderliness. Honestly, you're the poster child for our anti-elderly stance. You're falling apart before our eyes. It's not just about being anti-elderly, it's about valuing those who can actually contribute to society. Unlike you, who looks like he might collapse any second. Barbutia's eyes dart to Shemp with a smug smile. And Shemp, your plan to use kids for bird-related nonsense is absurd. We need real jobs that matter, not fantasies involving birdhouses and imaginary conspiracies. Leave the labor force to those of us with a serious vision. Finally, she narrows her gaze at Tabitha. And Tabitha, you can talk about training future scientists all you want, but let's be honest, you're just waiting for the next opportunity. You're just waiting for the next opportunity to get caught jorking it. Maybe stick to the lab and leave the real leadership to those of us who can focus on something other than our own experiments. Barbutia finishes with a defiant nod, satisfied with her commitment to the Red Party's principles, has put her opponents in their place. Alright, so let's look at the polling. I got a 1 over on Kick, so that's 1 vote for yes, he should have a health crisis. Alright, it looks like we're all health crisis. Poll is over. Amazing. I say in absolute sincerity, ladies and gentlemen, these are the real issue. And then I get cut off. Suddenly I get cut off as Sleazy Steve. Sleazy Steve heals over in pain. There is an audible gasp throughout the room. My God! I call out in a panic. We need a medic over here. Over here. Somebody help Sleazy Steve. Just then, a fully equipped medical team runs onto the stage and begins to administer emergency aid to Steve. As the medical team rushes to Sleazy Steve's side, the atmosphere in the debate hall shifts dramatically. Barbutia Lafranc looks momentarily taken aback, her frown deepening as she watches the chaos unfold. Is he really that weak, she mutters, glancing at Shep and Tabitha with a mix of concern and disdain. The audience whispers among themselves, uncertainty filling the air. Shep Barksley hops closer to the scene, his little body shaking with nervous energy. Hey, can you guys get him up? I mean, what if he doesn't make it to the next debate? That would really throw a wrench in our plans. He's kind of a mess. He shoots a glance at Barbusha, trying to gauge her reaction, then adds with a mock seriousness, I hope he's not taking his chaos thing too far. Can't have our anti-elderly candidate dropping dead on stage. Tabitha Langley watches with a flat expression, adjusting her glasses while rolling her eyes. Honestly, can you believe this? How pathetic. If he were truly serious about this campaign, he wouldn't let his health be an issue. Perhaps if he focused more on being useful and less on chaos, he wouldn't be in this predicament. This is why we need to phase out the elderly. They just can't keep up. She crosses her arms, unimpressed by the commotion around her. As the medical team works on Sleazy Steve, the computer's just taking control of me now. I step forward, trying to maintain control over the situation. Please, everyone, remain calm. We have trained professionals handling this. Let's not lose focus on the important issues at hand. The medical team stabilizes Steve, but as they prepare to lift him onto a stretcher, he suddenly sits up, groaning dramatically. Not like this. He can't take me out of the running. I'm still in this. Just give me a minute. He coughs and gasps, sweat pouring down his face as he looks around, desperate to maintain his bravado, even in this vulnerable moment. The audience shifts uncomfortably, caught between concern for Steve's health and the bizarre spectacle unfolding before them. Barbusha steps back, her brow furrowing as she struggles to process the scene. Well, maybe if he had focused on taking care of himself instead of playing King of Chaos, this wouldn't have happened. Can we even trust someone who can't even manage their own health to lead Super America? Shemp barks in agreement, his tail wagging furiously. Exactly. Maybe this is a sign we need younger, more vibrant leaders, like me. Woof. Who wants to rally behind an elderly man who can't even stand up straight? Tabitha shrugs, adding her own cold logic to the mix. Clearly, this is an example of why we must embrace youth and reject the elderly who can't contribute meaningfully. If Steve can't handle the pressure of this debate, how can we expect him to handle the pressure of leadership? As the debate hall buzzes with murmurs and a few concerned gasps, I take a deep breath, trying to regain the audience's attention. All right, candidates, let's refocus. What do you think of this situation? What do you think of this situation with Steve? What do you think the situation with Steve says about the physical and mental stamina required to be King of Super America? You have 2 minutes to respond. Can I edit this? Let's see. Is there an edit option? Switch model, bad response, good response, copy. I could probably just tell it to, like, disregard something. Yeah, I think I can only edit my own. Let's see. That is not the question I ask. Instead, I ask... Instead, I ask... Let's see, let's go back to some of the older questions. This is a question from the new emigrated to a great nation of super... Duff, what's your question number 5? That was a while back. This is a great question from the new emigrated to our great nation. Do you mean to the newly emigrated? Let's see. When sitting on the toilet, do you prefer side saddle or reverse cowboy? We need to know. Here, I'm just going to copy that last bit of question 5. Let's see. Let's regain focus on the important issues. This question is for everyone. When sitting on the toilet, do you prefer side saddle or reverse cowboy? We need to know. You all have 2 minutes. Barbusha Lafranc straightens up, regaining her composure despite the chaos from earlier. She purses her lips, contemplating the question with a serious expression. Well, as a family-oriented individual, I believe that the way to approach this personal matter reflects our values. I prefer the side saddle position. It's practical and shows a certain level of decorum, something that is very much needed in today's society. Just like I advocate for electric cars to keep our environment clean, I believe in maintaining a level of dignity, even in the bathroom. Alright, I'm gonna put up another vote. Should Sleazy Steve just drop dead? Because I think it would be funny if, like, immediately after this, he just dies. She glances at Sleazy Steve, who is still recovering, shaking her head slightly. Unlike some of my opponents, who might be too chaotic or restless to think about how they present themselves, even while sitting on the toilet, I choose to prioritize both comfort and class. Shemp Barksley bounces with enthusiasm, unable to resist the absurdity of the question. Side saddle, that's cute, Barbusha. I'm all about the reverse cowboy. It's bold, it's adventurous, and it definitely shows confidence. Just like I support the birds are real movement, I believe we should embrace our true nature, even in the bathroom. Why hide when you can be unapologetically yourself? Besides, I mean, who doesn't like a little fun while you're taking care of business? He then looks over at Tabitha smoking, and Tabitha, with your sciencey brain, I bet you have some crazy theories about toilet positioning. But come on, let's not pretend that your lab coat gives you a pass on bathroom etiquette. Tabitha Langley rolls her eyes, unimpressed by Shemp's antics. Honestly, this question is ridiculous, but if I must answer, I prefer the side saddle approach. It's far more efficient, like everything I advocate for. We should be aiming for practicality and effectiveness in all aspects of life. Why complicate matters with a reverse cowboy? It sounds like a distraction, much like all these petty debates. I'd rather focus on scientific advancements than bathroom positions. She narrows her eyes at Shemp, a hint of annoyance in her tone. And I'm not interested in your childish ideas, Shemp. Let's leave the silliness to you while I focus on real solutions for Super America. Finally, Sleazy Steve struggles to catch his breath, but he manages to lean forward, a slight grin creeping onto his face. Ah, well, I might be a little out of it, but I still know what's important. I say reverse cowboy. It's all about freedom, baby. Just like my chaotic policies, I embrace every aspect of life. Especially in the bathroom. Who needs rules when you can live on the edge, am I right? He winks, despite the medics still checking on him, a look of determination mixed with delirium in his eyes. Oh boy. They're fucking answering this seriously. With the candidates having answered, no, stop playing as me. I'm me. You're not me, computer. I nod, trying to regain control of the debate with the absurdity of the topic. Thank you, candidates. No, hold on. Stop answering as me. What the fuck? No, bad answer. This has nothing to do with anything. Don't like the style. Shouldn't have used memory. What's memory? Okay, prefers not to have their dialogue included. Oh wow, that's a lot of memories. Alright, hold on. I gotta... Is there a way I can just, like, delete this? Alright, hold on. Yeah, I'll just change this. Let's see, that is not what I said. Please stop answering as me. Instead, what I say next is this. All right, let's look at that poll again. Oh boy. It looks like the votes are in for dead. Sleazy Steve, I'm sorry, you're gonna go, buddy. What I say next is this. Let's see. I prefer missionary for the position myself. But that's beside the point. Next question. All right, let's go back over the questions some of you have asked. Here, I'm going to use question 6 that Aisha asked. Let's see. Super America. Oh, no, not that one. Here. Let's see. Super America has a greater problem with safety and privacy. Many of us enjoy social media, but internet security is lax and identity theft is rampant. How will you address and fix these issues? As king. Let's see. Answer as all of the candidates, but halfway through Steve's answer, he dies. Let's see, the debate hall falls silent for a moment after I share my own preference, and then the candidate, it's still role-playing as me. That is so bizarre. And then the candidates begin to respond. Barbutia Lafranc steps forward, adjusting her posture as she prepares to address the question. Internet security is an essential issue that affects families across Super America. As king, I would prioritize the establishment of strict regulations on tech companies to ensure they uphold the highest standards of privacy and security. Just like I support electric cars to reduce pollution, we need to charge up our digital defenses. Families deserve to feel safe online. We will implement a robust educational program to inform citizens about safe online practices, especially for our children, who are often the most vulnerable. And I will not tolerate companies that compromise our security for profit, unlike some people who seem to thrive on chaos. Shemp Barksley bounces with excitement, his eyes gleaming. Oh, come on. The real problem with internet security is the constant surveillance from tech giants. As king, I would dismantle the systems that allow identity theft and protect privacy by enforcing transparency laws. People deserve to know how their data is being used. Social media can be a tool for good, but it's been twisted by greed. We need a revolution, much like the Birds Are Real movement, where citizens reclaim their rights. And let's face it, anyone using social media should be aware of the risks. It's all about being responsible. This is more of like a Sleazy Steve style response. He looks over at Tabitha with a cheeky grin. Maybe you can use your super science to come up with a way to hack the hackers. I mean, your lab coat might help with that, right? What? Tabitha Langley narrows her eyes at Shemp, unfazed by his comments. Let's be clear. The solution is simple. We need to invest in super science technology that can predict and counteract cyber threats before they even happen. With my expertise, I can spearhead initiatives that involve creating advanced algorithms to detect breaches and protect our citizens. Just like I reject homelessness, they're bringing it back. They almost forgot about the homeless issue. But yeah, that's one of Tabitha's things, is she's anti-homelessness. The merge is beginning. The candidates are turning into one. Let's see, just like I reject homelessness, I reject the idea that we should live in fear of identity theft. Knowledge is power, and I will ensure that every citizen has the tools they need to stay safe online. And unlike some who are more focused on petty squabbles, I'll be focused on real, tangible solutions. As she finishes, the crowd is suddenly jolted as Sleazy Steve, still recovering from his earlier episode, suddenly clutches his chest. He gasps, his face turning pale. As he leans over his podium, I just need a second. I'm not done yet. But before he can finish his thought, he collapses forward onto his podium, and a hush falls over the crowd. The medical team rushes back to his side, frantic and focused. Barbutia stares in shock, then quickly regains her composure, glancing at the audience with a mix of disbelief and relief. Well, I suppose that's one way to avoid answering tough questions about... The man's dead! He's dead and you're mocking him! I suppose that's one way to avoid answering tough questions about policy. Maybe if he spent more time on health than chaos, he wouldn't have found himself in this position. Clearly being pro-chaos doesn't come with any guarantees. Shemp looks Shemp looks genuinely horrified for a moment, but quickly recovers, pointing at Barbutia. See, that's what happens when you prioritize electric cars over real issues. People are dying out here, and you're just frowning away. We need to focus on this. What does it matter? He turns him dying into her fault somehow. Tabitha shakes her head, barely fazed by the dramatic turn of events. Honestly, this is what happens when someone can't handle the pressure. It's a lesson in why we need strong leadership based on science and logic, not chaos. This debate is about who can lead Super America forward and not who can survive a debate stage. With a medical team working on Sleazy Steve, I take a deep breath trying to maintain... Stop playing me! Alright. That is not what I say. Let's see. The medical team falls off Steve. And his fate is not truly known until later that night. In the meantime, I look to, let's see, I calm down the crowd and turn towards our remaining candidates. Okay. I'm gonna then take something Dove said. Returning to our question about cyber security. Suddenly, I am suddenly interrupted as a man with a gun starts firing blindly at the candidates. Miraculously, all survive. The man unloads his entire magazine and stares dumbfounded at how he could have possibly missed every shot. He is dragged away by the security team, screaming nonsensically. Nonsensically. After things have calmed down, I once again turn to our candidates and ask, my next question is for each of you, how do you feel about what just happened? The hell is, there we go. Alrighty. Where's the music? Music. Yeah, let's go back to the beginning again. Alrighty. Let's read it. The atmosphere in the debate hall is thick with tension as the dust settles from the gunfire incident. The audience is in shock, murmuring nervously. I take a moment to calm the crowd before turning back to the remaining candidates. Barbucha Lafranc straightens her lab coat, her eyes wide with disbelief but quickly shifting to a stern expression. Well, this just shows how unsafe our society has become. As king, I would prioritize the safety of our citizens above all else. We need stricter gun laws and better mental health support to prevent these kinds of violent outbursts. Just as I advocate for electric cars to reduce pollution, we must also reduce the threat of violence in our communities. This is why I stand firmly against the chaos that my former opponent embraced. We need leaders who will provide safety and stability. Shemp Barksley, still shaken, stands on his little podium, tail wagging nervously. That was intense. Honestly, I'm glad we all survived, but it's proof that social media platforms, which I oppose, can sometimes amplify this kind of madness. We need to promote responsible dialogue instead of allowing conspiracy theories to spread like wildfire. As king, I would encourage transparency and build a community where people feel safe expressing their views without resorting to violence. I guess this is a call for us to all be more aware of how we engage with each other. Also, good job dodging those bullets, everyone. That's a real testament to our quick thinking. Everyone, just let's all pat ourselves. Let's all pat ourselves on the back for not getting shot. This incident, Tabitha Langley adjusts her glasses, her voice cold and analytical. This incident reveals a significant failure in our security systems. We need to invest in advanced surveillance technology and better crowd management protocols. As someone committed to super science, I would ensure that we analyze this event thoroughly to prevent future occurrences. We cannot have distractions from our goals. And this is a prime example of how chaos can interrupt in any setting. If we are to be taken seriously, we need to address these threats head-on with logic and reason. The crowd murmurs in agreement, but the unease lingers in the air. I nod, recognizing the gravity of the situation. No. That is not what I say. Oh man, we're out of questions. All right, I need to start making them up. All right. I ask. I say. Those are all very good answers. My next I need to address a recurring point that has been brought up throughout tonight's debate. The issue of working it. Has come up several times. Some super Americans believe that working it is natural and healthy. Others hold it with the stick. Others are disgusted by it. Let's go with that. What are all of your views on working it? You each have 2 minutes. All right. And now I'm going to put up another vote. Should Tabitha get furiously angry at how much she's been poked at for the jorking it question and just start jorking it on stage? Let me make the poll here. Good, Tabitha. Start jorking it. There we go. All right, let's read. The tension in the room is palpable as I steer the conversation towards the controversial topic of jorking it. The candidates exchange glances, and Tabitha Langley takes a deep breath, her expression unbothered. Let's get one thing straight. Jorking it is a perfectly natural act, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. We live in a society where so much is stigmatized, and I believe it's time we embrace our human nature. Just like my scientific process, I should be explored and understood rather than shunned. I take pride in my body and my actions, and I will stand by my choice. We need to foster a culture of acceptance, even if it makes some uncomfortable. Ignorance is what breeds disgust, and I won't allow that to hold us back as a society. Shemp Barksley barks out a laugh, clearly enjoying the chaos of the moment. Wow, Tabitha, that's a bold stance, but let's not forget that while some might find it natural, it's important to consider the social context. Not everyone is ready to embrace such intimate topics. I believe in educating people about healthy practices and open conversations. However, I won't shy away from saying that there's a time and place for everything, and not every subject needs to be aired in public discourse, unlike the nonsense that's been thrown around here tonight. So, while I support personal freedom, I also recognize the need for boundaries. Barbucha Lafranc frowns, her arms crossed as she leans forward slightly. I believe in the importance of family values, and while I understand that jorking it may be viewed as natural by some, we need to consider the impact it has on society. We have children watching, and we must set an example. We should promote a culture of respect and decorum. Embracing human nature doesn't mean we should abandon our standards of behavior. It's about finding a balance. So, while I may not personally advocate for jorking it, I recognize that personal freedom is crucial, but let's keep it private and not glorify it in public discourse. Finally, sleazy Steve, despite having been taken off stage moments earlier, seems to miraculously reappear at his podium, albeit looking a bit disheveled and pale. He clears his throat. What's all this about jorking it? You know what? I'm all for it. In fact, I think we should embrace it as a sign of personal freedom. Let's face it, life is short. Why hide who you are? We need to shake off the judgment and be real. Of course, let's keep it tasteful, people. I mean, who wants to have their breakfast ruined by talk of jorking it at the dinner table? Let's just be sensible, okay? With that, the candidates' passionate responses echo through the hall. I take a moment to absorb the varying perspectives. I do not say that. Stop talking for me. The boy is back. Though this legend, I know, right? I'm not killing him off after that. If he revives, he gets to stay. All right, let's look at the poll. Let's look at the jorking it poll. Let's see. Oh boy, we're at like a 50-50 split. All right. At 50%, I'm going to spin a wheel on it. Bring it over here. Let's see, how does that show up in the... Works it. Doesn't work it. All right, here's our wheel. She jorks it. Okay. All right. That is not what I say. Stop speaking for me. Instead, what happens is Tabitha gets very frustrated at the answers that have been given, and in a display of anger, she loses her usual cool composure and begins to dork it live on stage. She extols the virtues of jorking it the entire time. With all the chaos in the middle. Oh, that's another question. All right. After this, I'll ask that question. The atmosphere in the debate hall shifts dramatically as Tabitha Langley's frustration boils over. Her usual calm demeanor falters, and she slams her hands on the podium, her towering hair reflecting her agitation. Enough. This constant bickering over jorking it is ridiculous. You're all missing the point. This is about embracing our natural selves, not hiding behind false pretenses. If we want to discuss what it means to be human, then let's be real. Suddenly, in an impulsive movement, shocks the audience, Tabitha begins to demonstrate jorking it right there on stage, passionately extolling all its virtues as she does so. See, this is what I mean. It's an expression of freedom. It's not shameful, it's beautiful. Jorking it is liberating. It allows you to connect with your true self and break down societal barriers. It's healthy, it's natural, and we should celebrate it, not demonize it. Her voice rises, resonating with both anger and pride, her passionate display drawing gasps from the audience. Barbutia Lafranc covers her eyes, horrified, while Shep Barksley looks on in wide-eyed disbelief. This is why we need leaders who are unafraid to embrace the messy parts of life. We can't keep pretending that these natural acts don't exist. We have to destigmatize them, educate our citizens, and encourage self-acceptance. This is what I stand for. She continues her demonstration, seemingly unfazed by the shock around her, drawing a mix of applause and protest from the audience. Some cheer her defiance, while others are utterly appalled by the display. As the chaos unfolds, I sit stunned in stunned silence, trying to regain control of the debate, while the crowd buzzes with mixed reactions. Finally, I manage to clear my throat, raising my hands in a gesture of calm. Well, that certainly took an unexpected turn. Thank you, Tabitha, for your passionate expression of your views. Let's take a moment to digest what just happened before moving on to our next question. I glance nervously at the remaining candidates, their reactions varying from disbelief to bemusement, as the audience continues to react to Tabitha's bold display. Well, how do I... well... Okay. Next question. Alright. With all the chaos in the Middle West, what are your opinions on this? Oof. Dove, you might get me in actual trouble over this one. On the Soupies, the Hoopies, the Crispins, and the Stews. Can there be peace in the Middle West? Let's see. I stammer as I try to collect myself and reach for my next question. Let's put in him. And then that question. Oh boy. The question hangs in the air, the audience intrigued yet still buzzing from Tabitha's earlier outburst. The candidates exchange glances, each contemplating the chaotic factions of the Middle West. Barbutia Lafranc straightens up, regaining her composure as she speaks emphatically. Peace in the Middle West is absolutely crucial. The Soupies, Hoopies, Crispins, and Stews represent divisions that tear at the fabric of our nation. We need to foster dialogue and understanding among these groups. As king, I would prioritize initiatives that promote family values and unity. We should bring together community leaders from each faction to work towards reconciliation and collaboration. Only by focusing on our common goals can we hope to restore harmony in the Middle West. Shemp Barksley hops up a bit, wagging his tail with excitement. Oh, come on, it's not that simple, Barbutia. You can't just put a band-aid on the real issues these groups face. The Soupies are always stirring the pot, while the Crispins are just, well, crisp. And the Hoopies, they're all about the theatrics. We need to address their underlying grievances. If I were king, I'd call for a national summit to let each group air their concerns, but it has to be a no-frills social media-free zone. We need to cut through the noise and talk straight. We can find peace, but it takes work, and it starts with honesty. Tabitha Langley, having regained her composure after her earlier display, adjusts her glasses and speaks with her usual analytical tone. While I appreciate the idealism, we cannot forget the complexities of these factions. The Soupies thrive on ambiguity, while the Hoopies revel in drama, leading to perpetual unrest. As king, I would employ scientific methods to analyze these conflicts. Data-driven solutions could help identify the root causes of these divisions. We need a systematic approach to foster peace, one that prioritizes research and evidence over emotional rhetoric. This is how we build a truly united Super America. Lazy Steve, despite his earlier health scare, reemerges looking a bit shaky but determined to weigh in. Alright. Let's talk about the real issues. These factions need a strong leader who isn't afraid to get their hands dirty. Peace isn't about sitting around the table sipping tea. It's about confronting these groups head on. We need to throw a massive festival. Yes, a festival. Invite everyone from the soupies to the stews, get some games going, and let them duke it out in a good old-fashioned cook-off. Nothing says peace like some friendly competition. Plus, who doesn't love a good bowl of soup? It's time to bring back some fun and chaos while finding common ground. The candidates finished their points. The audience captivated by their varying perspectives on the chaotic factions of the Middle West. I take a moment to absorb their thoughts before moving on. No, that is not what I say. I do not ask that question. On the next episode of the Great Middle West Cook-Off. Alright. I think it's time we bring up someone else's scandal who has been largely neglected. Shemp Barksley has a scandal in which he is unfaithful to his wife. This has not been brought up more than once so far. So I'm thinking, who should show up to interrupt the debate? Shemp Barksley's wife or his mistress? Yes, mistress, or actually, let's add another option. Both. Let's see. All right. Now, while that question's being answered, I'm going to go ahead and ask a different question. Let's see. Instead, I ask, these are very bold stances on the issues of the Middle West. Let's see, I must ask Sleazy Steve. How will your policy of chaos... How will your policy of chaos... Nah, wait. How will this proposed cook-off be influenced by your policy of chaos? And how do you propose this will heal the divisions and conflicts of the Middle West? Keep in mind that the Middle West has been fractured for longer than Super America has been a country. You have 2 minutes. Lazy Steve leans into the microphone, his big nose twitching as he prepares to respond, a wide grin spreading across his face despite his earlier distress. Ah, my friends, let's not kid ourselves. Chaos is the spice of life, and what better way to spice up the dreary divisions of the Middle West than with a cook-off? Think about it. Soupies versus stews, Crispins versus hoopies. We bring everyone together, one glorious culinary showdown. and we'll watch as rivalries boil over, literally. The very act of cooking together can break down barriers. Plus, who can argue that there's food involved? People bond over meals, and that's where healing starts. I need a drink, holy hell. He leans in closer, eyes gleaming with mischief. Now, as for the chaos element, look, life isn't always neat and tidy. Trying to impose strict order on these groups is like trying to herd cats. What I propose is to embrace the chaos. Let's set the stage for some wild antics. Think cooking challenges, surprise ingredient reveals, and maybe even a food fight or two. Let people laugh, argue, maybe even come to appreciate one another through the absurdity of it all. This isn't about solving every issue in a sterile conference room, it's about real human connection. Even if that connection is built on the foundation of slightly charred grilled cheese sandwiches and spilled soup. He gestures animatedly, his excitement infectious despite the chaos he proposes. By allowing chaos to reign, we create an environment where people feel free to express themselves. It might even lead to unexpected conversations, friendships, and ultimately a better understanding of each other's struggles. Sure, there'll be a mess to clean up afterward, but isn't that what makes life interesting? As king, I would encourage that kind of chaos because it can lead to real change. As Steve finishes, the crowd responds with mixed reactions. Some are intrigued, others doubtful, while the remaining candidates prepare to share their thoughts in his unusual approach. Let's see, there is... the silence is deafening. There are many faces of disgust in the crowd as many super Americans have middle Western relatives who have all been affected by the division in the Middle West. The proposal of a cook-off to solve the Middle Western crisis is offensive at best and an insult to many super Americans on a level that cannot be expressed in words. I read the room and move on with a different topic. All right, let's look at the poll. It looks like we're getting both. Shemp. Oh, let me get that. Shemp. My next question is for you. Let's go look at Shemp real quick. You've taken a very strong anti-social media stance. Yet, many super Americans only know how to communicate through Patriot Book, the largest social media platform in Super America. How do you think we can... How would you reconcile your personal beliefs with a strong pro-social media sentiment throughout the country? You have 2 minutes. And then partway through Shemp's answer, his wife and mistress storm onto the stage and begin arguing with each other and Shemp. Shemp Barksley adjusts his tiny suit, ready to respond to the question with a charismatic fervor. Thank you for that question. You see, social media, particularly platforms like Patriot Book, have turned into a cesspool of misinformation and mindless chatter. People are more concerned with posting their lunch than engaging in meaningful conversations. It's all about appearances rather than genuine connections. As king, I would promote face-to-face interactions over digital distractions. I want to encourage real communities where people gather in parks and have real discussions, not just thumbs up emojis. Just as he gets into his stride, the commotion starts. Shemp's wife bursts onto the stage, followed closely by his mistress, both clearly fuming. What are you two doing here? Shemp stutters, eyes darting between them. His wife, a tall woman with fiery red hair, points an accusing finger at him. Don't play innocent with me, Shemp. You think I wouldn't find out you've been sneaking around with this disgrace? The mistress, a much younger woman with a flashy outfit, crosses her arms defiantly. Disgrace? At least I don't smell like old dog food. You're the one who needs to make a choice, Shemp. Are you going to stick with your old ball and chain, or are you ready to embrace some real excitement? Oh boy. Shemp looks panicked, glancing between the two women as the audience shifts uncomfortably, murmurs filling the hall. Ladies, can we not do this here? I'm trying to address a serious issue. I want to remind you all, Shemp Barksley is a dog in a suit whose body is like a man wearing the suit. The two women continue to bicker loudly, completely oblivious to the audience or the debate. Seriously, Shemp, how do you expect to lead anyone when you can't even manage your own love life? His wife shoots back. As the argument escalates, I lean into my role as moderator, attempting to regain control of the situation. Ladies, this is a debate. Perhaps we could settle this after the event. I suggest trying that. That's a very weak answer to this. But the argument continues, drowning out Shemp's increasingly frantic attempts to regain the floor. Hey, come on, can we not? The audience watches, a mix of shock and amusement on their faces as the debate spirals into chaos around Shemp's increasingly complicated personal life. Let's see, I'm gonna have Sleazy Steve bursts out laughing and wheezing in amusement as two nets descend from the ceiling and whisk both women off stage. I'm sorry about that, Shemp. Clearly, our security is lax tonight. Please, continue with your answer. Shemp Barksley takes a deep breath, clearly rattled, but relieved to have the stage to himself again. He straightens his suit and speaks, his voice a mixture of determination and exasperation. Thank you for that, and my apologies to the audience. Now, as I was saying, we need to focus on the core issue here, communication. My anti-social media stance isn't just about throwing shade at platforms like Patriot Book, it's about reclaiming our ability to talk to each other without the interference of algorithms and trolls. Social media fosters superficial connections. People aren't really listening to each other. He gestures empathetically, trying to emphasize his point. If I were king, I would initiate programs that encourage in-person gatherings, town halls, and community events. Let's get people talking face to face. Sure, we can use social media as a tool, but it shouldn't be the primary means of communication. Let's get back to genuine dialogue. We need to build relationships and trust within our communities. That's how we truly connect, by breaking down the screens that separate us. Shemp pauses, glancing nervously at the audience, hoping to regain their trust after the earlier drama. Yes, we have to find a balance. I'm not saying we eliminate social media entirely. We need to learn how to use it wisely. But we also need to prioritize personal connections. It's vital for the future of Super America. Trust me, folks, nothing beats a good old-fashioned conversation, unless you're talking about, you know, the chaos of my life. He chuckles awkwardly, attempting to lighten the mood as he wraps up his answer, clearly eager to move past the earlier interruptions. So let's focus on real engagement. That's the way to mend our fractured communities, starting with myself, one step at a time. With that, he nods and steps back, hoping to have made a compelling case against the tumultuous evening. I think I'm gonna ask like one more question, and then I'm gonna hold a vote as to who should be king of, or who should be the Red Party candidate for King of Super America. Alright, that's an amazing question. Thank you, Shemp. I would like to conclude with one final question for all of our candidates. When you are king, will we the people finally have disclosure on the Girth Earth, otherwise known as Fat Earth theory? This question is sponsored... How do you spell sponsored? Sponsored by the Fat Earth Society. You each have 2 minutes. Oh no, it's like stuck. Uh-oh. Have I pushed ChatGPT to its limits? Why is it having trouble responding to this? What the hell? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let this sit here while I take a quick bathroom break. I will be right back, and hopefully by the time I'm back, it will have actually managed to write a response. See you in a second. All right, I returned and it looks like it has generated an answer. So, in response to what they each think of the fat Earth theory, Barbutia Lefranc steps forward first, her thin frame stiffening as she prepares to address the question. Well, I must say the girth Earth theory is absolutely ridiculous. Just because I'm thin doesn't mean I can't appreciate the humor in it. But as king, I would encourage scientific inquiry, not conspiracy theories. We need to focus on real issues like climate change and sustainability. So while I can't say that I'd give the Fat Earth theories society's While I give into the Fat Earth Society's demands, I will promote policies that support scientific research and honest dialogue about our planet. But let's be clear, facts are facts. We will base our decisions on sound science, not on whimsical theories. Shemp follows, looking a bit sheepish after the chaos of earlier. Look, I don't want to alienate. Just saying that out loud. I don't want to alienate any potential voters, but let's face it, the Earth's shape is something we can agree on, right? Whether you're a girth Earth believer or not, it's important to have open discussions. As king, I would ensure that all theories are discussed openly, provided they don't detract from our focus on more pressing issues like community and communication. The Fat Earth Society deserves a platform, but I wouldn't endorse any theory that diverts us from reality. So yes, let's have discussions, but keep it rooted in the facts. Sleazy Steve, still basking in the afterglow of laughter from earlier, leans into the microphone with a smirk. Oh, come on. You're all way too serious about this girth Earth, fat Earth, whatever you want to call it. It's all about perception, folks. As king, I'd want to embrace all theories, even the wacky ones. Who knows, maybe the girth Earth folks have something to teach us about how to enjoy life. We can have fun debate without losing our grip on reality. I mean, can we agree that we all enjoy a good meal now and then? Life's too short. Let's promote love. Let's promote love for our bodies, fat, thin, or whatever. So yes, let's have the Fat Earth Society on the spotlight. It could lead to something entertaining and enlightening conversations. Tabitha Langley, her usual cool demeanor returning, takes a deep breath before sharing her thoughts. While I find the concept amusing, we must not lose sight of serious scientific inquiry. As king, I would prioritize the importance of evidence-based science over fanciful ideas like the girth Earth theory. Let's focus on how we can utilize scientific advancements to help our communities, including issues like obesity and health. If the Fat Earth Society wants to be heard, I'm open to that, but it must be grounded in facts. Knowledge is power, and that's where we should put our focus. With that, the candidates finish their responses, the audience unsure of how to react to the blend of humor and seriousness, but intrigued by the potential of their king-to-be. Alright. And let's finish this off. Thank you all for coming to the debate tonight. You have all done what many couldn't, and stood up for your beliefs and values publicly. Public. Boy, don't I feel silly. Publicly and loudly. I would like each of you to give a closing statement as to why you should be king of Super America. Starting. Let's start with Barbutia. You have 5 minutes. The floor is yours. Barbutia Lafranc straightens up, her serious demeanor returning as she prepares for her closing statement. Thank you, esteemed audience. As I stand here tonight, I want to remind you all of our core values that define the Red Party and, more importantly, the future of Super America. I am a firm believer in family, community, and progress. My support for electric cars and sustainable energy reflects my commitment to creating a cleaner, healthier environment for our children. We must focus on the future where our young people are empowered through hard work and child labor, ensuring they learn valuable skills that will benefit our economy. I stand before you not just as a candidate, but as a representative of family values and hard work. We can harness the energy of our youth to drive innovation and growth. While we can't ignore the challenges facing our elderly population, I believe we need to prioritize the vibrant potential of our youth to secure a prosperous future for all of Super America. As your king, I promise to advocate for policies that uplift families and foster a sense of responsibility among our children. Together we can build a brighter future, one where our values and vision take center stage. Vote for me, Barbutia Lafranc, and let's pave the way for a powerful and united Super America. He finishes passionately, stepping back as the crowd reacts with a mix of enthusiasm and skepticism. Shemp Barksley takes a deep breath, adjusting his suit as he prepares for his turn. Thank you, everyone. Look, let's get real here. I'm just a simple chihuahua trying to make sense of this wild world. An anti-social media stance might ruffle a few feathers, but it's all about connecting with one another, and I believe that's vital for our future. We need to return to our roots, valuing personal interaction over social media drivel. I know I've had my fair share of distractions tonight. Trust me, I'm working on it. But the essence of my campaign is to foster genuine connections among the people of Super America. I promise to work towards a community where we truly listen to each other and create change together. As your king, I'll push for community gatherings, local events, and meaningful dialogue. Vote for me, Shemp Barksley, and let's reclaim our sense of community, one paw at a time. He gives a hopeful nod, stepping back as the crowd responds with mixed emotions. Sleazy Steve leans forward, his big nose twitching with excitement as he prepares for his closing remarks. Alright folks, here's the deal. Chaos isn't just a concept, it's a way of life. I know I've had my ups and downs tonight. Who doesn't have a little chaos in their life? But I embrace it, and I believe we can all benefit from a little chaos. Super America needs to break free from the constraints that hold us back. Life is too short to live in fear. As king, I would encourage a society that values creativity, spontaneity, and fun. Let's turn the tables on traditional governance and inject some excitement into our daily lives. With my leadership, we'll have cook-offs to unite the Midwesterners, street fairs to bring communities together, and a wild ride of unpredictability that will make Super America thrive. Let's embrace the chaos. Vote for me, Sleazy Steve, and together we'll stir things up and have a blast doing it. He winks at the audience, leaving them with a mix of laughter and bewilderment. Finally, Tabitha Langley adjusts her lab coat and her tall hair, standing proud as she prepares to make her case. Thank you, esteemed audience. I appreciate your attention tonight. In an era defined by chaos, misinformation, and whimsical theories, we need leadership and grounded in science and rational thought. I stand for super science, innovation, and practicality. As your king, I would ensure that we rely on evidence-based solutions to tackle the issues facing our society. We cannot let ourselves be distracted by fanciful notions like the girth Earth theory or social media nonsense. Instead, let's focus on real, tangible progress, addressing homelessness through scientific approaches, advancing our infrastructure, and creating an environment where our youth can thrive without falling into traps of mindless distraction. I will lead Super America into a new age of enlightenment, where facts reign supreme and progress is made through hard work and innovation. Vote for me, Tabitha Langley, and let's build a future based on knowledge, collaboration, and integrity. As she finishes with a determined nod, stepping back to join the other candidates, the atmosphere charged with She finishes with a determined nod, stepping back to join the other candidates, the atmosphere charged with anticipation for the election ahead. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. The election. Let's see. Who should be the Red Party candidate. Barbucha Frank. Jim Barksley. Sleazy Steve. Or Tabitha Langley. This is it. This is the vote for the Red Party. Who gets to run the party? Let's see, we got a vote for Sleazy Steve. Oh, we got 2 votes for Sleazy Steve. Sleazy Steve has to be chosen. He cheated death. That is a fair point. He has to be chosen for Super America. That's right. Yeah, all right. I'll give it what, like another minute, and I'll end the poll there. Six, 7, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. All right. It looks like Sleazy Steve is the winner. The lights dim, and the crowd goes quiet as screens pop up in front of every member of the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, Angleton. Ladies and gentlemen, please cast your votes now. The audience taps away on their screens, casting their votes for the future of the Red Party. Feels there is an uncomfortable and awkward. Actually, I could just stop it uncomfortable. Silence between the candidates. For what feels like the longest minute of their life. They each know the consequences of losing this race. It's dire and could spell disaster for the entire Red Party. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, the lights come on and circle around the stage like a hilarious circus show. Before finally landing on Sleazy Steve. Congratulations, Sleazy Steve. You have been voted as the Red Party representative I'm sure. Representative candidate for the upcoming election in November. The crowd goes wild with cheers as the other candidates look on with horror and disbelief. Barbutia begins crying and shouting in French. Champ Barksley merely stands there in shock. Tabitha, of all people, falls to her knees and begins to pray. They all know what comes next. Beneath each of them, a trap door opens, between each of the losers, a trap door opens, dropping them into a furious incinerator. From the ceiling, Champ Barksley's wife and mistress are dropped in with him. The crowd cheers even louder. Some begin to demand a speech. Once the audience has calmed down, he clears his throat and gives his victory speech. Sleazy Steve wipes his brow and grins at the audience, his big nose glistening under the spotlight. He adjusts his pleather jacket and steps forward, taking a deep breath to compose himself for his victory speech. Thank you, my wonderful super Americans. Wow, what a ride this has been. First of all, let me just say, it's an honor to be your Red Party representative candidate for the upcoming election. To all of you who believed in me, thank you. And to those of you, and to those who didn't, well, look where we are now. Now, I know tonight has been wild, what with all the chaos and unexpected twists. But that's exactly what I'm here to embrace. My platform is built on chaos, creativity, and a whole lot of fun. Together, we will turn Super America upside down, and I'll be leading the charge. We need to bring the party back to politics, shake things up, and create a buzz that even the birds, yes, the real birds, would take notice of. We'll cook our way to unity, and I promise you, it won't just be a feast for the eyes, it'll be a feast for the soul. So let's rally together, embrace the chaos, and make Super America a place where every day feels like a carnival. Thank you for your support, and let's get this party started. Vote for chaos, vote for me, Sleazy Steve, and let's have a blast this November. The crowd erupts into cheers. The energy in the hall is palpable as the lights flash and music begins to play, celebrating Sleazy Steve's unexpected victory. And that is the Red Party debate. Congratulations, Sleazy Steve is the representative of the Red Party. I cannot wait for next week. I do need to draw him. Let me pull up my, Alright, so here's what Sleazy Steve looks like. Let me draw him as a victor. Put it way out here. See, here we go. Now let me bring him up as a reference. Alright, so what I'm thinking is at the podium here, stage, let me bring that down a little bit. That was amazing. I can't wait for next week when we do the Blue Party debate. Oh god, let's look at what's the Blue Party all about. I forget. Hold on. Move over, Steve. They are pro Bigfoot, anti monkeypox. Oh boy. And we've got Anita Skeeter, who's all about the badass, katanas and the Joker, and she was caught sniffing girls' hair. You got Arthur Bamboozler, who's pro death penalty, anti school. We've got Martha Teeny, who's pro nudism, anti dimensional merge, and we've got, oh boy, this is the one with the cannibal. We got Manny Eaton. Incredible. Oh boy, that's gonna be something else. So let's see, he should be like... just like this enormous blob of a man. I gotta go back and I gotta collect like all the like official canonical answers that all the things that kind of stayed, and I need to compile them into like a big document that I can link with this so everyone go back and read them. Hold on. It's just this. Let me draw them first and then I'll draw the podium. And how his teeth look. Fucking sleazy Steve, what a goddamn miracle. The motherfucker died and came back to life just to win this debate. He's won my vote, I'll tell you that. Good old sleazy Steve. Look at him just sleazing it up. It doesn't look quite right. It's heading right. Should I give him like a tiny crown? It's not king yet, but this crown is like the party crown. Oh, this should be like a... Should be like a stain on his stuff from, like passing out and dying earlier. Sleazy Steve, the sleaziest. There he is in all his glory. There we go. Sleazy Steve the victor. see. I'm gonna take 10-15 minute break or so. Get myself something to eat, and then I'll be back with some drawing. I will see you all shortly. That's not the... Oop. Hold on, I'm making all sorts of mistakes here. There we go.
shadows start to grow, and the places that you know seem like fantasy. There's a light inside your soul that's still shining in the cold, with the truth, the promise in our hearts. Don't forget, I'm with you in the dark.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Now that the debate's over, I'm gonna move into a more chill, relaxed, just sort of simple drawing segment. I'm thinking I want to do a picture of Sunny for Halloween, particularly for her birthday, which is in like 3 days. So I always put this off to the last minute. I'm terrible, I know. But I figure this is a good time and place to do a Sunny picture. So I'm thinking, I'm not sure what I really want her to be this year. Let's see. Uh-oh, there goes the music. Let's see. Music, music, music. Alright, would you guys like if I put something else on? I've been kind of just running with the Deltarune for a while now. Something more like this. A bit more up this way. Yeah, still not enough. About there. Let's see, I think having the straight on perspective's one thing, but I think I might dress her up like a mummy or something. But then I like want to. I probably want to change her ankle to make it more sort of shambling. There we go. Have that like that. Her head come down to here then. Oh, the weight distribution change. Never kind of stick her butt like way out. This. Where'd all the music go? Hmm. You know, sorry to cut it short, but I'm actually getting kind of tired here. That was a pretty exciting debate that was had there, so I think that took a lot of the energy out of me. But I got it. At least I got like a good start, I think, on like the base of like a sketch for Sunny for her birthday. Finish that up there. So I can at least start there. And I don't know, I might come back on tomorrow and stream and finish up this sketch then. Alrighty, thank you everyone for popping in tonight. It's been a great time. Nah, not Monday. I think I'm gonna be tired enough from work on Monday. Saturday, I think I can handle myself. Alrighty. Peace out, everyone. Have a wonderful night, and I might see y'all tomorrow.